Hey guys, welcome back and welcome Maya.
Thanks, boss.
Today we're here with a brand new format and brand new content on the channel. Honestly, it's also the start of a new era for us. For those who don't know me, I'm Samer, and from now on, my dear friend Maya will also be joining us in these formats. You'll be hearing her voice a lot in our videos from now on.
Yeah, I'm here from now on. You'll get used to my voice after a couple of videos anyway. This is actually an idea you and I have been talking about for a long time. It just happened to come to life now. All right then, I'll open with our first piece of news. Our first update is coming from Netflix. K-pop Demon Hunters is coming back and the girls of Hunter X are getting ready to take the stage. But don't get too excited, yet the movie won't release until 2029. Almost 4 years away. It feels like a long wait, but since it's an animation, the production process is probably going to be intense, so the studio most likely wants to scale things up. You remember the first movie. When it came out, it became Netflix's most watched film. In this sequel, Maggie Kang and Chris Applehands are returning as directors, and it's said the backstories they couldn't explore in the first movie will be told more deeply here. Basically, the K-pop plus demon hunting plus musical universe is coming back with a much bigger scope this time. Did you like the first movie? And do you think waiting this long, like until 2029, kills the hype? Or does it make people even more excited?
I thought the first movie was way better than I expected. The concept sounds wild at first. A K-pop idol group hunts demons, but the movie managed to turn that into this super fun and stylized world. The songs alone were strong enough to stand on their own. The global success was totally deserved, so when the sequel was announced, I wasn't surprised at all. Of course, 2029 is pretty far away. You can't help but wonder, will it be worth the wait? But we know animated films take a long time, and if there are musical elements, production gets even more detailed, so I think it shouldn't be rushed. The hype won't completely die, but it'll need strong marketing. The idea that they're expanding the story makes me excited, especially being able to learn more about the backstories they didn't show in the first film. But what I'm most curious about is the tone. The first film was colorful and fun. I feel like this time they might lean into a darker mythology, and if they do it right, that could be really cool. Long story short, worth the wait.
Our next news is a massive nostalgic bomb. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are coming together again for a new Mummy movie. It'll be directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, the radio silence duo known for Ready or Not and Scream. These two managed to blend horror and action with fast pacing, so they're expected to bring a modern tone to the series. Official details are still limited, but the film will most likely be a direct sequel to the 1999 Mummy, meaning we're getting the iconic adventure of Rick O'Connell and Evelyn again. This is huge news because Rachel Weisz left the franchise after the second movie and wasn't in the third. Plus, Universal's 2017 reboot attempt with Tom Cruise failed. So this new project is both a chance to return to the spirit of the original series and also lines up with Fraser's second major career rise after winning his Oscar for The Whale. One comment Fraser made years ago stuck with me. The Mummy should entertain more than scare. It should feel like getting on a thrill ride. I think that mentality is exactly what fans are looking for. There's no filming date or release plan yet, but considering how strong the nostalgia wave is, this reunion is a big deal.
I'll be honest, this news got me insanely excited because The Mummy is one of my favorite franchises ever, so much so that it made me obsessed with Egyptian mythology. Back then, I got super into books and watched everything I could find about Egypt. I even have 2-3 tattoos related to Egyptian mythology. That's how much of a fanboy I am. Seeing Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz come back together is basically a dream for me. Rachel Weisz leaving in the third movie really hurt its vibe. You could feel that missing chemistry. So seeing them side by side again feels like we might get that warm, adventurous spirit back. Fraser's comeback with The Whale was already amazing. Now returning to The Mummy is like coming home. As for radio silence, I'm cautious but excited. They're good at balancing horror plus action plus light comedy. If they can capture the tone of the first two films and add a modern touch, it could be incredible. My only wish is that the movie doesn't go too dark. The fun, adventurous tone of the first films is special. They need to protect that. But to sum up, this is one of the announcements I've been waiting for years. If they do it right, I'll be first in line because I basically consume anything related to Egyptian mythology. In short, I'm losing my mind right now because I'm such a mummy fanboy.
The trailer for Percy Jackson Season 2 is finally here, and we actually watched it together. I think the trailer feels much bigger, darker, and more mature than Season 1. The story adapts the Sea of Monsters, and the mystery that starts with Percy's dreams becomes way more urgent once it's clear Grover is in serious danger. The poisoning of the sacred tree that protects the camp and the collapse of the borders also raises the stakes a lot. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson heading out to the Sea of Monsters looks really cool. Tyson joining the story feels like it'll shift the emotional balance. Also, Thalia Grace showing up hints that major mythological plotlines are on the way. With Lin-Manuel Miranda returning as Hermes, new gods, and new faces, the trailer really made it feel like the visuals and the story leveled up compared to Season 1. Honestly, I got really hyped.
I honestly didn't like Season 1 of Percy Jackson much. Let me put it this way, I only managed to watch 3 episodes and then I just stopped. I didn't even watch the rest. But I'm aware of what happened, I read posts, followed how the season progressed through Instagram, so I wasn't totally disconnected. So when the Season 2 trailer dropped, I was curious, and watching it with you made me think, maybe they actually nailed it this time? Because the Sea of Monsters storyline has always been one of my favorite arcs from the books. If they execute this season, well, really make it believable and epic, I might even go back and watch the episodes I skipped in Season 1. The darker tone in the trailer, Grover being in danger, Tyson's arrival, and the threat of the camp falling, that's great material. I just hope Disney Plus doesn't waste that potential. If the atmosphere stays like it is in the trailer, this season could easily surpass the first.
Now, let's move to Netflix's new Western series, The Abandons. We watched the trailer together, and honestly, I'm pretty hyped. The Western atmosphere is already super appealing, but Gillian Anderson and especially Lena Headey instantly elevate it. The story takes place in the Washington Territory in 1854. Two powerful women who are completely opposite go to war over land and family. Constance is a more aristocratic, ruthless widow driven by power, while Fiona is like the leader of society's outcasts. She fights to protect the people she considers family. As someone who's loved Lena Headey since Game of Thrones, seeing her play another strong, fierce character immediately got me excited. And the tone of the trailer, dirty, dark, unforgiving, is exactly my thing. The hidden romance between the families adds an emotional layer too. Overall, I'm really positive about this project.
For me, I'm approaching this a bit more cautiously. I've always loved the Western theme, but shows like this can very quickly slide into being just average. I kind of felt a bit of that vibe in the trailer. Still, I'd watch it just for Lena Headey. She's been one of my favorite actors since Game of Thrones, and her face fits these harsh, power struggle worlds perfectly. Gillian Anderson also brings a lot of prestige. Watching her is always a pleasure. But like I said, if the show breaks out of the classic Western cliché and gives the characters real depth, I'll stick around. If it's just land war plus family feud and doesn't go beyond that, I'll be disappointed. I will watch it for now, but honestly, only because of the cast.
Let's move on to one of the most interesting pieces of news this week. Meghan Markle is returning to acting after 7 years. She'll appear in a small role in an Amazon MGM comedy called Close Personal Friends. Filming is currently happening around Los Angeles. The cast is actually pretty stacked. Lily Collins, Brie Larson, Jack Quaid, and Henry Golding are starring. The story is pretty fun. An ordinary couple goes to Santa Barbara for vacation, meets a famous couple, and their relationships become increasingly strange and uncomfortable. It's directed by Jason Orley. The script is by Isaac Aptaker. I think it's cute that Meghan is returning to acting because I liked her energy back in her Suits days. They say her role is small, but being in such a lively cast seems like a great chance to shine. I don't know if this movie will be a huge hit, but it'll definitely get attention.
I honestly don't feel any hype around Meghan Markle. I know Suits, but her acting was never something that grabbed me. Sure, coming back to acting after all the royal drama is newsworthy, but to me, it's not really a wow moment. That said, the cast is pretty strong. Seeing Lily Collins and Jack Quaid immediately caught my interest. Also, a weird relationship escalating during a Santa Barbara vacation has potential for both comedy and cringe. But to be honest, I wouldn't watch this movie for Meghan. I'd watch because the cast is good and the concept feels interesting. Also, the fact that her role is small is a plus for me. As long as she isn't too front and center, the movie's energy will flow well. So in short, we'll see.
This one is the project that surprised me the most. Jennifer Lawrence and Emma Stone are developing a solo movie for Miss Piggy. Cole Escala is writing the script, and according to Inside Info, J-Law and Emma Stone aren't just producing, they'll likely act in it too. Miss Piggy is one of pop culture's most iconic Muppet characters for over 50 years, and this is her first time getting a solo movie, which I think is huge. Disney is apparently treating this project as a big deal, celebrating Jim Henson's 70th anniversary. On top of that, a new version of The Muppet Show is coming to Disney+, and it's said Sabrina Carpenter will show up at the special event. Miss Piggy's super confident, glam, slightly diva, slightly chaotic persona could create a fun tone between comedy and darkness on screen. If Lawrence and Stone actually appear in the film, the scale gets even bigger. Even just having those two behind the project means it should be taken seriously. Personally, I trust them a lot, so I'm optimistic about it.
For me, a Miss Piggy movie is currently in the interesting but not something I'm super hyped about category. Jennifer Lawrence and Emma Stone instantly raised the level of the project, no doubt about that. Especially since Emma Stone is incredibly strong in comedy, it makes me feel like the project has a solid vision. But to be honest, I don't have a nostalgic bond with the Muppet universe. It wasn't a cornerstone of my childhood. So my only reason to watch this movie would be if there's genuinely good writing and a creative comedy behind it, and if these two big names really put in the work. If it's just a nostalgia movie, it won't hold me. My expectations aren't low, but I'm not hyped before seeing anything either.
Now to a massive horror franchise. The Conjuring is coming back. Warner Brothers and New Line are preparing to expand the series with a prequel, meaning the story will focus on Ed and Lorraine Warren's younger years. There's no confirmed director yet, but the studio is in talks with Rodrigue Huart, who's gotten a lot of festival attention for his short films. The script is in the hands of the series' veteran writers, Richard Nang and Ian Goldberg. These guys also worked on Last Rites and The Nun 2, so the tone will probably fit the universe. Here's the interesting part. It's rumored that Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, who've played Ed and Lorraine for years, may not be in this movie. That's both exciting and risky, because fans are really attached to that duo. But starting the story with younger Warrens could bring a fresher, raw horror atmosphere. Also, HBO is working on a show that'll continue the Conjuring universe, so this world is still expanding at full speed.
My overall thought about the Conjuring universe has become this. This franchise will keep getting watched. Whatever they release will sell because people love horror. Their whole Phase 1 is done. Phase 2 is coming. Announcement makes me laugh, but from a marketing angle, it makes sense. Universal's Dark Universe attempt failed miserably, but Conjuring succeeded because horror gives big returns with small budgets. They made hits out of Annabelle, The Nun, and even La Llorona. People aren't watching these because they're part of a universe, but because they like horror. So I think more big hits will come. The HBO series will definitely get watched. But the fact that they're falling into the cinematic universe mentality like Marvel is just funny at the end of the day. They're telling stories most people already think are real or at least hear about in everyday life. But honestly, I'm no longer interested. Flying spinning demons, priests throwing holy artifacts, shotgun-wielding demon hunters, endless spin-offs, none of that excites me anymore. I'll watch it to make content, not because I care about what happens, but so I have something to talk about. I wouldn't go to the theater. I'd watch it when it drops on streaming. I'd check out the show too, just because HBO usually does good stuff. But that's it. Personally, I'm not excited anymore.
Yep, that's it for this week's news. It was a packed week for me. New announcements and returning projects, especially Percy Jackson, Miss Piggy, and The Abandons got me really excited. Hope everyone enjoyed it as much as we did.
Exactly. This week's agenda was pretty chaotic. From animation to horror, western to comedy, there was a bit of everything. Some projects really got me, some I'm just over, but at the end of the day, we're talking about them together, and I think that's what makes it fun. Tell us in the comments which project you're most curious about so we can see.
Also, if you liked this format, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll keep talking as new updates drop. Bye!